Welcome to the Supercast. I'm your host, Superintendent Anthony Godfrey. Under the direction of the Jordan Board of Education, Jordan School District is launching a COVID-19 data dashboard. The Jordan COVID-19 data dashboard will update parents and employees on current COVID-19 case counts in every school and office building so they can make the very best decisions for students, families, and themselves. The dashboard also shows the current number of students and staff in quarantine. Here to talk about the Jordan Data Dashboard and how it works are Associate Superintendent Mike Anderson and Planning and Enrollment Consultant Caleb Olson. Mike, Caleb, thanks for joining me today. Let's start with you, Caleb. Most contracts in the district include the phrase "other duties as assigned," and this data dashboard falls under that category for you because you're someone who's skilled at just doing a lot of different things and pulling numbers together in a meaningful way. Caleb works with our enrollment numbers and our permits and works behind the scenes just to make all of that make sense for our schools, providing data district-wide. And so I really appreciate your work on the data dashboard. I have it here in front of me, and we've sent, along with a link to this podcast, a link to every parent and employee so they can access this. Can you just kind of walk me through the information that's included here on the dashboard?
Yeah, so on the dashboard at the top, so that it's most visible and easiest to see, we have a total of the current cases those are positive COVID-19 cases in the district. And then we have a number that is the number of individuals district-wide in quarantine at the moment. Underneath that, you can see those same figures for each of our schools and the different work locations. When you go into the table at the bottom, it has a number that's the number of individuals in the building. And that number is really the number of people that would be in that building or that location every day. It's all of the students and all of the employees, and then we subtract out the number of full-time online students who don't come into school.
And the reason for reporting that number is that on Tuesday night, the board decided that at certain percentage levels, certain things would happen at schools in response to an increase in the number of cases. So that number allows us to quickly see when we're approaching those percentage points.
Exactly, and we have that available so that any employee or any parent or any student can come and find their school and see what the situation is, what the case count is like at their building. There's also the ability on there to look at your feeder system, your area of the district, or to look at different levels of the district. So you could see the totals for all of the elementary schools or the middle schools to kind of get that higher level picture if that's something you're interested in. But hopefully it's set up in a way that makes sense to our parents and our students and our employees so that they can get the information they need to be informed when they make their decisions.
I know that with the county data dashboard, there are a lot of people hitting refresh throughout the day. There's a high level of interest in knowing what the latest numbers are. And the banner at the top indicates that the data is updated every school day by 1 o'clock, and then when it was last updated. So it'll be updated once per day. So once you see that day's update, those are the newest numbers, and that's where the numbers will be. But many times we'll get it before 1 p.m. It's just 1 p.m. is the latest that update will come.
Yeah, we want to make sure that by 1 p.m., if you were to visit the site, you have the current numbers. What we don't want is to have cases trickle in or to have the number change throughout the day. So we'll update it and do our best to have it as quickly as possible, but by 1 o'clock every day that school is in session.
One of the things I like about the option to choose level or feeder system, first of all, you can compare how your high school or middle or elementary school looks in terms of the case and quarantine numbers compared with other schools in the district. But there's a lot of usefulness for the feeder as well. Feeder is a term we use a lot. It basically means the elementaries that feed into a particular middle school and the middle schools that feed into a particular high school. Some places call it a pod. But basically that feeder, looking at the feeder statistics, allows you to see whether there's a trend within a particular community. And we can look and say, well, not only is a particular high school seeing higher numbers, but we're seeing a spike at the middle school and at the elementary level as well. That actually hasn't happened yet. The highest numbers have remained at the high school level, which in meetings I've held with other superintendents and with the county health department seems to be the trend throughout the state, that high school numbers are tending to be higher.
Exactly. I think if you look at some of the information from the county, they can report by zip code to give you kind of a look at your area. For the school district, our equivalent of that would be the feeder system, the high school and the schools that go into it. So if you want to know what your neighborhood is like, you could look at your local school, or you can go kind of a step back and see the high school and the schools that feed into it. And so that's available there for patrons and for our community to look at.
Mike Anderson, Associate Superintendent, let's talk a little bit about the middle column of active cases. We work with the county health department to determine these numbers. Can you tell me how an active case is defined?
Sure, yeah, and I work with the county health department on a daily basis. It's one of my other duties as assigned, right? A currently active case is one as defined by the health department as 14 days from the day that it's first reported to public health. And it stays on their records for those 14 days, and after that, it will drop off.
In the active cases, we have several categories. You'll see a 0 if there are no cases at a particular school. And then if the number is from 1 to 6, then we just put that range. So it's either 0, there are no cases, 1 to 6, there are 1 to 6 active cases. And then if there are more than 6 cases, then we'll give the individual number of cases at that school. Can you explain to everyone why it is that there is not an individual number all the way down to 1?
In cases of 1 to 6, one of the concerns is that those cases would become personally identifiable. It wouldn't be hard to know that if we listed a school as having 1 case or 2 cases, who those students are in that building. And so out of a concern for privacy and out of a concern for what we refer to as FERPA, which is the Family Education Rights and Privacy Act, and we use a range from 1 to 6. Above that, we start listing them as individual cases, and you'll see in the middle column that they're coded by color. Anything between 7 and 14 is coded as a yellow by the color yellow, and above 15 we would code in orange.
So you can quickly see at a glance kind of where we have a higher number of cases at a particular school, and like I said, you can break it down by level or feeder and do some comparisons as well. Now there are totals at the top of the page as well, and the programmers and our web designer have made it possible for us to have those numbers continually updated on the main web page. So even if you're just on the main web page, those numbers will be there, and that's the current active cases in the district and the individuals in quarantine. But those main totals will also recalculate when you use the drop-down menu on the data dashboard page to select either a feeder system or a level. Anything else you would add, Caleb? Any other features or any other aspects of this that you'd like to make people aware of?
No, I hope it's just it's user-friendly and good for people to use. It's easy when we start putting numbers in columns like this to try and have the numbers be accessible, but we also have to remember that each of those numbers is a person who probably doesn't feel too good right now and has had their life, kind of turned upside down. So we want to get information to people in a way that's easy for them to get to, but also make sure that we're respectful of the people behind those numbers and keep them in mind.
I think that's a really important point. The numbers help us make decisions, but those decisions are really based around providing a safe and healthy learning environment and a great educational experience for everyone. We know how important school is, and we know how important keeping everyone safe and healthy is, and so we're balancing those interests, and these numbers help us do that. And Mike and I were talking about that again last night, just the fact that each one of these numbers represents someone's life, someone's education, and someone's individual circumstance that we're trying to make the best we can.
Whether it's a quarantine or a positive case, their world has been turned upside down. And if I may get a personal note here, my son is on quarantine. He was notified, and his world's been rocked a little bit. And that's rocked the world of his mother and me, who have to, our entire family structure has been changed pretty considerably because of that. And so we want to be sensitive to that. We also want to provide, like you said, good information so that students, parents, families, teachers, and administrators can all make informed decisions. And this is what we hope this dashboard accomplishes.
We're all affected in different ways personally by this, and the more information, like you said, the more information we can give to families, employees, parents, students, and members of the community, the better decisions we can all make as we try to get through this together. Thanks very much for all of your hard work to make this possible and for stopping to talk with us on the Supercast today.
Thank you.
It's been our pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks again to Associate Superintendent Mike Anderson and Planning and Enrollment Consultant Caleb Olson for joining us on this episode of the Supercast. You can access the data dashboard by visiting movingforward.jordandistrict.org or click the link on the main page at jordandistrict.org. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Supercast, and remember, education is the most important thing you'll do today. We'll see you out there.